So I've always really wanted to do this.
Yes, man!
Okay, hold on. Okay.
What the rock?
Really? And just for interrupting, I'm making the French toast. And you can't have any. Unless you really want some, and then I'll just come hang out. Call me. So The Rock released his Rock Toast video showing off what's included to make it, and I will say, ever since seeing it, it's been in my dreams. So now the first thing we need to do is actually work with our brioche. You can make your own brioche, but I have a really great bakery nearby, so I just bought some from them. I bought this a couple of days ago, and the reason why I'm using this is because you do want to use a brioche that is slightly old, so that way it doesn't have as much moisture. And to remove even more of that moisture, we're gonna place our 3 slices of toast on a wire rack. We're gonna bake this in the oven at around 225 degrees Fahrenheit for about 15 minutes to remove that moisture. So while your bread is getting nice and dry, we're gonna actually be making a little bit of our whipped cream. And this is no ordinary whipped cream, this is The Rock's Teremana Tequila whipped cream. So to make this, we're gonna be using about 4 ounces worth of heavy whipping cream, 1 ounce worth of tequila, 1 tablespoon worth of your powdered sugar, a little pinch of salt, and then we're gonna give this a little bit of a whisk before we turn on the blender so we don't make a huge mess. But we're gonna whip this into very, very soft peaks at first. This is super important because we do have to add a stabilizer to this, and the stabilizer is going to be Cream of Tartar. The reason why I'm adding a stabilizer to this whipped cream is because the tequila will actually cause some of that whipped cream to break, and unfortunately that's just how it is with alcoholic whipped creams. Now once you have about a medium peak, we're going to go ahead and zest in about 1 tablespoon worth of orange zest. Now he mentioned citrus, but I'm going to go with orange because I feel like the flavors for this are going to play really nicely together. Once you have your zest in there, finish hand whisking this just to bring this back up and incorporate all of that orange zest. You don't really need to whip this too much further than we did. Once you have a nice stiff peak, go ahead and place this in your container and set this in the fridge to actually cool down just a little bit. Remember, this doesn't last more than about a day. Next, we're going to be making our citrus maple syrup, and for this I'm using some really nice maple syrup just because it has a really robust flavor to it. You need about 2 ounces of maple syrup with about 1 ounce worth of tequila. We're going to be throwing in 1 tablespoon worth of our orange zest because again he mentions it's citrus and these flavors do play really well together. I mean, maple and orange, you can't go wrong on this. Give this a little bit of a stir and this maple syrup is pretty much good to go, but I mean obviously we got to give this a taste test, right? And yes, this is fantastic. Good call. Okay, so hear me out on this one. The Rock just spread straight up peanut butter onto his French toast, but we're gonna go ahead and up this one just a little bit. And for this, we're gonna be using about 2 tablespoons worth of room temperature peanut butter, 1 tablespoon worth of powdered sugar, followed by 2 tablespoons worth of unsalted room temperature butter. Yes, equal parts peanut butter and room temperature butter. Give this a really, really nice whisk. And as you whip this, you're gonna see it start to lighten up in color. This is basically the filling for a Reese's peanut butter cup, albeit just a little less sugar. Continue to whip this until you get this really nice pale peanut butter color. This is going to tell you that that butter is completely whipped into the peanut butter. It gets nice and fluffy. Give some to the wife because she has to try this. I mean, it's a peanut butter cup. Place it into your container and we're gonna let this cool down into the fridge after tasting it again so we can spread this really easily on our toast. Now the last bit of prep we need is actually our batter. Get out of here, we need room for this. We're gonna go ahead and use 6 ounces worth of whole milk, yes, whole milk, it's the good stuff, as well as 2 ounces worth of heavy cream. Pour this into whatever container you're using to whip everything together and add in 2 whole eggs to this mixture. We're also gonna season this with a 1/4 teaspoon worth of nutmeg and a 1/4 teaspoon worth of ground cinnamon. Give this a good forking just to make sure that those eggs are totally beaten up because you don't want any weird runniness into your eggs. You wanna make sure that it's totally liquid. Throw a lid on this and let's get ready to make some toast. So while you were prepping everything else, your toast should be ready to go. And now this wants to be dried out, but not like a crouton. You don't want it to be that dried out. The reason why we dry it out is so it can soak up as much of your batter as possible because that's where all the good is, you know? You don't want to have it lacking in batter. We soak each side of our toast for about 60 seconds to absorb a significant amount of that batter and then place this onto whatever griddle surface you're working with. I'm using this little electric flat top just because it's so much easier to cook multiple slices of French toast. As you pop one one onto your griddle, pop the other piece of toast into your pie pan or whatever you're soaking with if you're not soaking all of them together, which I probably should have done, would have been a lot easier. But continue to do this until you get all of your toast soaked. Remember, 60 seconds of soak on each side of that bread. It's super important so it gets completely saturated. Now grill each side until it's nice and G-bad on each side, you know, golden brown and delicious. Then place this back on to your wire rack. The reason why we're placing it back onto the wire rack is because we're actually going to bake this once again because this is such thick slices of toast. We're gonna bake this back in our little toaster oven at 350 degrees for about 7 to 8 minutes until the inside is ready to go. After those 7 to 8 minutes, your French toast should be ready to plate up. Yes, this is gonna be so good. But first things first, we're gonna make one for the waifu. For this, we're gonna do 1 slice of toast, followed by just about a tablespoon worth of the peanut butter fluff we had made. Spread that all around. You wanna make sure you get good coverage, you know? You don't want just like one pocket of peanut butter. Hit this with a little bit of your citrus tequila maple syrup, followed by your citrus tequila whipped cream. There is the sliceu for the waifu. But now we do have to make our French toast. And for this, I'm actually gonna pipe some of our whipped cream onto this. Feel free to not be super extra like this and just throw a dollop on top. It's no big deal. Now we're gonna go ahead and spread half of our remaining peanut butter spread onto 1 slice of toast, followed by our second slice of toast, then the rest of our peanut butter fluff onto that top piece of toast. Hit this with a significant amount of your tequila maple syrup, followed by what I think is a terrible, terrible take on really nicely piped whipped cream. I'm not a pastry chef. Please don't hate me, Claire. I apologize in advance. And there you have it, our Teremana Tequila Rock French toast. Oh yes. Judging by the video over on Instagram, it looked like he probably ate close to like half or 3/4 of a loaf of brioche with that French toast he'd made. This is more than enough. This is more than enough for me. Holy crap. Dude, that's amazing. Oh, I love that tequila. Oh, and the brioche is buttery. And the peanut butter is like light and fluffy. Like me, this is delicious. I can finally smell what the rock is cooking. And if you want to smell all of the other things we get cooking here, check out Patreon down below, smash like, get subscribed. Remember, keep playing with your food. I'm gonna go rock bottom myself after all of this.